Hello and welcome to As We Go Canning Edition. I am getting ready, hi Cookie, to do step number 2 in canning. Here's the thing though, usually you are prepping food and sanitizing, which is what we're going to talk about in this video. Usually you're prepping food and sanitizing at the same time. Which, I mean, it's a lot of work, but I decided to keep these separate so that we could explain exactly why and how we do what we do. Now, these jars here have already been washed and dried. They're not yet sanitized. These jars here have just been brought up from the basement, and they're clean because last time I used them, I always wash before I put them away. Hey, look, we've got a present in that one. I don't know how paper, random pieces gets in things. Anyway, so these are, clean, but not clean. And this one still has the lid on it, which means I haven't even used this one yet. So we'll be having to clean that one out. So these need to be washed. So step 1 in sanitizing is to sanitize your area, clean your area. I've still got a mess from yesterday. I will be cleaning out the sink and getting it prepped to wash these jars so that I can get going on canning the next thing. So let's get this one. The reason why you want to have a clean sink to start with is because when you sanitize, you are basically taking food and storing it away. No refrigeration, no freezer, right? When you can. You don't want any bacteria to go with your food into the jar. So you're doing your best. It's not perfect. You can't be perfect. But you're doing your best to start with as clean of a slate as you can to discourage bacteria growth. Well, that looks better, doesn't it? There's a few things that I could rinse out. I was washing dishes, so. Alright, so I have my spaghetti sauce and my salsa over there. It needs to simmer for about half an hour to an hour for them. And I need to wash, definitely need to wash. I might need to get a couple more jars. I definitely need to wash these and get them all sanitized and ready to go. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill, this is my water bath canner, right? I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to start filling it. And I'm going to plug it in back here. Don't mind the dirty dishes. I need my sink. Anyway, let's plug it in, and I'm going to turn the knob here. I don't know if you can tell. I'm not going to turn it on all the way, because all the way is when you're ready to can. You don't want a rolling boil. I'm just here to sanitize. So what I'm going to do is turn the knob probably so that it's perpendicular to the counter, and maybe a tiny bit more. You never, ever, ever want to start this with nothing inside of it. You always want to have water inside of it before you turn it on, because otherwise you can cause damage to the heating element inside of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some dish soap. I am going to spray the inside of these. I'm looking at this. I don't know if it's been used before. It looks like I might be able to try reusing it. It looks clean. If these have not been used before, they're fine to go no matter how long they sit on the jar. If it's been used before, then you're kind of gambling to see if it will seal or not. Usually those that have been used will have an imprint of the jar rim in the wax. So this, I might just reuse this. So anyway, I've got these bands here, which I can't take off one-handed. I'll have to do that after I put the phone down. But I'm going to give a little bit of spritz in there. I'm going to scrub the inside with a brush because I can't reach my big hands inside all the way. And then I'm going to use a clean rag to scrub the other parts of the jars. So I'm about halfway. I'm going to leave it like this for now. I'm going to fill up my other canner, my pressure canner here, which I am not using as a pressure canner today, so I have taken this off. I have to lift this. I always forget, it's not enough just to take it off the seal, you have to lift it as well. Then it's so easy. Anyway, so I'm going to fill this to about here, because I'm going to be using a water bath method for this. Now this one is doing my salsa, because I can't do quart jars, I have to do pint jars if it's a water bath canner. So I'm going to probably fill it to about here, and then I will fill it farther once I get the jars in here to sanitize. And I'm going to, once again, reread the directions for water bath canning to make sure that I'm following the steps properly. And this will sanitize. This is going to do the ultimate sanitizing. Washing with soap and water is one thing, but these canners do the second step, which is to heat it up enough in boiling water to kill lots of things that we don't want in our stuff. So I'm going to grab a couple more jars, and I'm going to get those washed. Okay, I have washed all of the jars. They are ready to go in to sanitize. Now, I don't need my jar grabbers yet. I suspect I will need them by the time I finish putting them in here, because the water levels will rise. But for right now, what I'm going to do, I've got them filled up halfway about with hot water, because that way I'm not going to shock the system here. This water's not quite burning hot yet, so I'm safe to... It is warm though. I'm going to have to be a little careful. Woo! So I want to balance them out. I only have 6 jars. This will fit 7 jars. You can see this one's floating a little. Push it down. Now, if I want to adjust, which I think I need to, I'm going to use this to do it. I think it is time for me to use the jar grabbers. Open, close, don't mind the chicken bucket behind me, or behind the sink area here. Now this has a fill line on it, and I'm going to try and keep an eye on that. This is one of the reasons that I love having the spigot here right over the sink, because as I put in too much stuff, which I inevitably do, I can look at that fill line. Actually, it looks pretty good. Maybe a tiny bit too much. So I open the spigot, let a little bit out, and that's good. I'm going to put the lid on it. I don't put this one on it yet. This one will definitely go on it. So this right here, when it is time to can, this goes on top in here. And basically all it does is it keeps the boiling from getting so strong that it causes too much damage. So I don't need that yet. We're not boiling the water yet. We are just sanitizing our jars. Just like that. Now these ones are a little bit different, because these ones are actually going to go into my pressure canner on the water boil. Whoops. My pressure canner is a bit different. So what you do is, plug it in first, because that's helpful. I'm not pressure canning. See that? It's blinking pressure can. So I'm going to tilt it over to where it says boiling water can, and then I'm going to push the center. Or you can push play too. Now, salsa has to be canned, pint-sized salsa, for 30 minutes. So I wait till it's blinking 30, and then I push the center, or I can push the play button. Insert jars is going to pop up. So I have all of these jars here. The canner will fit 8 jars. I think I'm safe just doing 7. I've already got water in this canner. It's up to the bottom line there. And as I put these in, that will add more. Actually, maybe I can only fit 7. No, I think I can fit 8. Anywho. You don't have to start with hot water. I like to start with hot water. Maybe that's... Sorry. Whoops. Anyway, I like to start with hot water simply because it speeds up the process a little bit, but you don't have to. So this will close, and then the nice thing is we put the lid on it here, and I double check my directions because that's what I do. Already done that. So step 8, insert jars. Make sure the regulator is not on because I am not pressure canning. I am water boil canning. And then we put the canner on the body. We lock it. Locking it doesn't mean we're pressure canning because we still have this here that will vent. So we're still safe there. Okay, and then we push this. Or this. Doesn't matter. Warm lights up. It's telling me that it's heating up the water, and right now it is sanitizing my jars. Another option that we have here. So I've already washed my lids with soap and water. They're clean. They don't really need to be sanitized anymore. They don't come into direct contact with any of the food that we are placing in our cans, so those are okay. I've washed these in soap and water, and generally that is where I stop. I don't really go farther with these, but if you are someone who just wants to have everything pristine and sanitize and it just makes you feel better to do that, here is your option for that. This, take a little pan here, make sure it's clean and washed, and you fill it with water. Not fill, it doesn't have to be too hot. And that's where this tool here comes in handy. It's got that magnet on it. So what you'll do is you will boil this water on the stove, and not too terribly long, and you can put these in that water and boil it. And then as you're placing the lids, as you need, it's my dog, I wonder if my kids are home, as you need to place lids on it, you just use this right here to get it out of the water and onto your jar. And then if that helps you feel safe. I generally don't do that anymore. It's a step that not many people do as often, but if it helps you feel better, go for it. Alright, so this water is nice and hot. This whole thing is very hot. So these jars are sanitized. They are ready to go. I'm going to keep them in there until my spaghetti sauce is finished simmering. These jars over here, one of the nice things is it has beeped twice, and this here says fill jars, which tells me that these jars are sanitized and they are also ready to go. I will keep them in here until I'm ready to fill the jars. But that is the basics of sanitizing your jars to get ready to can.